Starting to build, and there's a little bit of an echo down the years of the great emerging talent that Nigel Benn once was. When you hear the cheers of the crowd when Yarde was introduced, he is getting a following, no question about it. And Nemesapati doesn't look exactly brimful of confidence, does he? Yarde has that methodical, calculated way about going about his work, though. But he is heavy-handed.
Very heavy-handed indeed, John. Good jab, great right hand, but also a very powerful left hook that he's got. Yarde. Nemesapati himself, though, John, you know, he's got a few wins inside the 3 rounds, hasn't he? What, 12 wins, so he can bang a bit himself. But yeah, the favourite, overwhelming favourite, is going to be Yarde here.
Two biggest names on Nemesapati's record: Anthony Dirrell fought him and lost in January, retired in 6, and that was the same distance that he went against Callum Smith. He retired on his stool after 6 rounds of that fight. So that's kind of, to pardon the pun, the yardstick by which Anthony's going to be judged. A look on Rich's face suggesting that I'm not pardoning the pun.
No comment, John. But yeah, he's been in with some quality opponents, hasn't he, Dirrell and Smith.
Yarde's had 7 first-round victories, including his last time out against Richard Baragny in July here in this auditorium. Copper Box is becoming a little bit his fighting home. Struggled to get down to the weight, and he's clearly tight at 12 stone 7.
He's a big light heavy, isn't he? And the waist up, he's huge, Yarde. So yeah, maybe struggling a little bit, but he made the weight. His last time to the scales. His last fight, John Conti was here. Is probably our, well, good argument that he's our best ever light heavyweight, John Conti. I know he was impressed by what he saw. I think he was, John, as well. And here, just Yarde just working with that jab, just sizing up his opponent. There's that good body shot there. Just measuring the gap, measuring the distance, working behind the jab. It's a good start, and there's that left hook that I spoke about earlier.
And he felt the weight of that one, and big body shots going in as well. And Nemesapati certainly felt the weight of the punches of Anthony Yarde there.
Yeah, brilliant work there from Yarde. Nemesapati he wasn't expecting that left hook, was he? He was working with the jab, then all of a sudden changes the angle, brings it across. Great shot. And that isn't the place to be in those ropes. Nemesapati's got to move, John.
Big uppercut, and he landed pretty flush there already. The face of the Hungarian is reddening. 10 seconds to survive to the end of what has become an increasingly torrid opening round the further that it's gone. Big round for Anthony Yarde, absolutely dominant in the last couple of minutes, but Nemesapati gets through it, just. Really starting to load up in the closing stages of that first round. They had one of those punching power machines down at the press conference area this week. And guess who hits the hardest of anybody who tried it? You got it, Anthony Yarde. Big right hand.
I thought he was going to say John Rawlin then.
I decided not to mix it with Mr. Yarde. I think that was probably wide. It could have been embarrassing. Those having a go in, by the way, included Daniel Dubois.
Again, just picking his shots really well, setting it all up behind that jab. So just measuring the gap between himself and his opponent with the jab, and then setting himself up for that backhand, and then the left hook also. I think Nemesapati, John, he's got to move, got to keep the movement going. He holds his feet, then it's just allowing Yarde just to pick him off with that jab and set up those heavier shots. Got to move, Nemesapati has.
He's methodical. There's a methodical, sort of calculated, destructive ability about Yarde.
There's a calmness about him, isn't there? Can't look at that for a right hand there, but again, he's just maintaining that gap between himself. Just gets caught there, and as he's coming forward, he's measuring all the time with that jab. Now he's going to work.
Big right, big right to the body was a heavy one. and that's just maybe just caused the gloves to drop just a tad, and allowing him to fire off with these headshots now.
I don't think he's going to take much more of this, John. These are big shots that are going in.
He hasn't got the power to keep him off, has he?
I don't think he's got the power, John, to gain the respect from Yarde. Yarde's just coming forward. There's no respect from Yarde, is there at all? He doesn't respect his opponent's power coming forward, really going for it now, picking the shots.
He's talked about going up through the divisions later in his career. He's quite clearly capable of going several levels higher than this. But as the battle to make the weight becomes harder, maybe the cruiserweight division at some stage will get to look more enticing. And the further this goes, if he has really been tight at the weight, oh goodness me, down he goes. The corner celebrates, clubbing right hands, almost like a tree being felled.
4 or 5 right hands continuously there on the target, side of the head.
Steve Gray having a close look. I don't think he'll want Nemesapati to take too much. Good referee, Steve Gray, and here he goes again. 2 more chopping right hands. Second one right on the, well, it's on the ear or on the temple, but he's gone down, and I think he doesn't really want too much more here. He's got to his feet and bravely says, yeah, I'll carry on. But he looks just about spent to me. Oh dear me, big shots, and surely he's going to go now, and somehow he survives to the bell. Well, it is heavy artillery against pea shooter stuff.
Yeah, some terrific work here. Look at this, 3, 4, 5 big right hands there from Yarde, backing his opponent up with the jab all the time, with the jab, measuring the distance and gap. Big right hand round the side, second knockdown. You know, if I was in that corner, I think I'd be pulling this kid out, because it's only a matter of time before he takes some more stuff like that. And he was hurt there, wasn't he? He was definitely hurt with that shot, John.
Steve Gray just had a word with the Hungarian corner, just making sure that they're confident that he wants to go on. And he's still shaking his head and looking a bit dazed in that corner as he's getting words of advice from his coach. Well, bravely, maybe a little bit too bravely, he's coming out for the 3rd round. And I think a few cornermen would have thought about getting him out of there. But nevertheless, 12-rounder, and we go into the 3rd with Yarde having picked up a 10-7 round with those 2 knockdowns in the 2nd. Difficult to match this fella, isn't it? Being sent to a neutral corner as Yarde gets the gum shield belatedly put in. Who's the sort of fighter who's going to give Anthony Yarde trouble? Somebody who can move a bit, I guess. Somebody who can counter and maybe fight on the back foot.
Listen, I agree with Stevie Bunce. There's probably still a couple of British boxers that he should be looking at, but it's actually getting them into the ring. But I think Frank Buglioni, the British champion, but he's due to defend his title, isn't he, against Callum Johnson?
Yeah, that's a mandatory, isn't it?
You know, I think either one of them would fancy a fight against Yarde. Also, the dark horse of the division, the British, is Bob Agisafe from Leeds. No one likes to box him. He's so awkward. So it would be nice to get him there. So, but that's what Steve Bunce thinks, that he should still be going for the British title.
Another crunching body shot, taking the wind out of Nemesapati once more, and you can see he's backpedaling, trying to protect against those body shots. There's another one, thunders home, and as those land, of course, the gloves will tend to drop, and that could provide Yarde with the opening that he wants. Maybe just one big shot away from finishing this.
Oh, that's a big shot again from Yarde.
Nemesapati, brave, still trying to stay upright, still trying to survive to the end of this 3rd round.
He's literally doing what he wants now, isn't he, John? Just walking forward, just picking his punches. His opponent's getting weaker and weaker, and they're at the side of the head, aren't they? They're not straight right hands, they're like right hooks, if you like, around the guard of his opponent. But also, he's got a good left hook as well, Yarde, a dangerous puncher indeed.
Well, he's doing exactly as he pleases now. and just looking for the payoff punch, something to end it, something to prompt the intervention of Steve Gray, who you can see there in the background is watching very, very closely indeed. And the moment that he detects that Nemesapati is incapable of defending himself and fighting back, that'll be the end. Big uppercut from Yarde, but still Nemesapati survives. 25 seconds left in this third round. Big right to the body, and again he's shagged visibly. Well, is there any point in this going on very much further? I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I think you've said it, John. Steve Gray is taking a look, but if nothing's coming back from Nemesapati, then I think it won't be too long. But is he going to survive this round? I think he is.
Well, he got a sustained battering, but another round to Anthony Yarde. He has said to the referee, I don't want any more, I can't take any more of it. And Anthony Yarde is in celebratory mode once again as Nemesapati retires after 3 rounds, and quite rightly so, because, well, frankly, it could have finished earlier than that.
Yeah, you can't blame the lad for not coming out for the fourth round rather. Total domination there from Anthony Yarde on that front foot. Punch perfect again. And there'll be people out there now crying out for better opponents for this lad, but like I said before, he can only beat what's put in front of him, and he's done it in convincing style and fashion. Again, John, it's just where does he go from here? Does he go the British route, like Steve Bunter says, or does he concentrate on that world scene? That's the big question.
Well, it would be nice if it was sort of the old-fashioned give the belt and win the belt, the most famous and arguably the most beautiful belt of all, the Lonsdale belt. And I think when he looks back at his career, Anthony Yarde would want to see that. But the world title opportunities are sure to come. He is making sizable ripples. Norbert Nemesapati wasn't good enough to be in there with him, let's be honest.
No, he wasn't. I mean, most of his career has been at super middle. He's took this at 9 or 10 days notice. It was very disappointing again, wasn't it, for Anthony Yarde's opponent pulling out on him, and they've had to get a new opponent, and they got this fella. You know, on paper he didn't look too bad. 25-6 record, 18 knockouts, and like I said, he got 12 knockouts inside 3 rounds, so he's certainly, he can punch, but he's mainly been at super middle. But he wasn't good enough tonight, John.
Well, he delivered a sustained beating, display of power punching, and as we said before, calculated once again. And it brings the verdict and the formal announcement now from Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of boxing, our referee in charge, Steve Gray, accepts the retirement of the red corner. Therefore, your winner, and still undefeated, now the WBO Intercontinental Light Heavyweight Champion, Anthony "The Beast" Yarde.
So the story goes on. Yet another stoppage victory. 3 rounds completed, only just. Anthony Yarde, as the belt is strapped around his waist, I think we can very confidently say that he's ready for very much sterner examinations than that.
Never the ideal build-up when you're not making weight. Other mitigating factors. He's had to deal with 1 or 2 family problems. We understand his nan, who she's very poorly at the moment. He's very, very fond of her as well, but it's all about dealing with all of that and going in there and putting on the show, because that's what people expect of a rising star, and he has done that.